Okay, I've got my paper, I've got my pens, my pencils, my highlighters. I think that's everything. Hey, friends! I'm attending a lecture on 19th century British literature, and I'm trying to decide what I'm going to use to take notes.
Did someone say notes?
Sorry, Juan, not musical notes. I'm talking about taking notes while someone is talking about a specific subject.
Oh, well, is the subject guitars?
No, it's more like 19th century British literature.
Okay, I'm out!
Bye, Juan! Well, clearly taking notes isn't something that everyone enjoys, but it's an important skill to learn if you're planning on going to college. Today, we're going to learn how to take notes while sitting in classes. What do you need to prepare? How do you know what to write down? We'll learn the answers to these questions and more through tips and tricks, do's and don'ts, and styles and setups. Let's get started.
5, 6, 7, 8! Woo! Thank you, Barcelona!
And we'll begin our note-taking for newbies with some tips and tricks. And you'll notice that in that last point, we did a fun little effect called an underline, which is an effective method to take notes. When you need to emphasize an important phrase, try adding a line underneath. Underlining is a quick, efficient way to accentuate your notes. When you are taking notes in class, you usually must write or type pretty quickly to keep up with the lecture. An underline is a fast method for longer quotes, phrases, or sentences. When you are reading your notes later, the underline will automatically draw your eyes. Another way to draw your attention is by writing in all caps. And I know that may look like you're yelling all the time, but it can be very effective. Use the all caps method only for essential words or terms, since it can take longer than underlining. Another way to write faster is by creating your own shorthand or abbreviations. For instance, maybe you leave out unnecessary words such as articles, the, a, an, or you can shorten words like government to gov. Or maybe you use symbols to represent certain words, like arrows could mean increase or decrease. 2 quotation marks can mean same as above. Or an asterisk can stand for snow. I love my environmental science class. Now, you may be wondering, how do I know what to write down in my notes? Well, start by copying down any text that you can observe. Make notes on any words the professor puts on the blackboard, whiteboard, digital presentation, or screen. Pay attention to repetition as well. Anything that the professor says more than once is important. So, it's time to pull out those colored sticky notes, pencils, pens, and highlighters. Use the different colors to emphasize specific points. Now, if colors or writing do not work for you, try an audio recording. Make sure you check with the professor and your school student handbook before recording. You can try emphasizing notes later through volume or speed, or if you re-record with your own voice, try using an interesting tone or even an accent. What do you think about that, mon ami? While you keep pondering that, let's move on to our second note.
Woo!
Once again, not that kind of note. Actually, we're going to talk about the do's and don'ts. Let's begin with the do's. First, do write with legible handwriting. You will have to decipher your notes later, so make sure that they're readable. Do reduce the amount of text. It's not necessary to notate every single thing in the class. Summarize the lecture, conversations, and readings. Do press pause. If you're watching a video for a college class, Press the pause button when you need to catch up on your notes. Similarly, if you get confused or miss a point in a lecture, pause the professor by asking for clarification. Do include your own opinion in your notes. Put in how you think or feel about the subject. And do review your notes afterwards. When the class ends, organize and reflect on your notes as soon as you can. Reinforce them in your brain while the topic is still fresh in your mind. And while we're talking about keeping it fresh, let's move on from these stale do's to the new don'ts. Don't write too much. Not every word is absolutely essential, so don't spend too much time transcribing the professor's lecture or video word for word. On the other hand, don't write too little. Be careful not to miss important points. Details can also contain necessary information. And to not miss those details, don't have distractions around, especially in online classes or videos. Keep other online tabs closed and use electronic devices only to take notes. Close all the other fun apps. But you can open your water bottle because you will remember our final don't. Don't forget your supplies. Bring water, snacks, writing or audio recording materials, and anything else you might need. And speaking of other things you might need, all of these tips and tricks and do's and don'ts with some other helpful extras will be included in the supplemental PDF for this lesson. But before we get there, we have to examine some styles and setups. There are multiple styles of taking notes. We'll be walking through 4 of the most common setups. Experiment with each of them to see what works best for you. The first is the outline format, which is similar to an essay outline as you can see in this image. In the outline setup, your notes are divided into main ideas, subtopics, details, and thoughts. The outline format provides structure and organization for a quick review. The split page method of note-taking, as seen here, is also known as the Cornell method. This style is focused more on the layout of the page. The split page setup works well for a variety of lectures, videos, and meetings. Another style that also works but is less well known is the boxing method, as you can see in this picture. This setup groups related notes together in a box. Each section of notes has a separate box. And in this final picture, you can see the mapping method. This is also a less well-known note-taking style. This setup works for lectures or videos with new detailed information that you must remember, and it's useful for when you need to see connections between concepts. And speaking of remembering, make sure you remember these points from our lesson today, starting with tips and tricks, do's and don'ts, and styles and setups. All of these will help you take effective notes in your college classes. Don't forget to check out the engaging game and supplemental PDF for this lesson to prepare for our next class, where we'll learn all about making a timetable for tasks. Until then, keep constructing your college castle in the sky.
Is it time for my notes yet?
Sure, why not? And a 1, 2, 3, 4.